So Alzheimer disease is neuron degenerative brain disorder. And what we mean by saying degenerative, this word it refers to damage or loss of the neuron cells. And actually the cause behind that it's not really known, so it's a disorder of unknown etiology, and it's also the most common form of dementia. It usually starts in the late middle age or in the old age, and it results in many symptoms like memory loss, impaired thinking, disorientation, and a change in the personality and mood. There's some explanation that according of formation of beta amyloid plaques, which let's just have a small look of the neuron cell membrane, which composed of two parts, extracellular part and intracellular part. So the extracellular part usually break down by an enzyme that called alpha secretase enzyme, and the intracellular part break by an gamma secretase enzyme. Those two enzymes together produce a soluble form that can go and get rid of it easily through the neuron cells. However, in the Alzheimer case, instead of the alpha secretase enzyme, there is an enzyme that called beta secretase enzyme. So with gamma, they form insoluble product, or we can call it a black, and impair the transduction of the signals through the neuron cells. However, in this picture we can see here, this is the first lady who diagnosed with Alzheimer, and her name is August D. She diagnosed by German physician Alois Alzheimer. That's why this disease called by this name. However, there is another definition of Alzheimer, which is chronic irreversible disease. And when we say irreversible, it means once it started, it never ends. It affects the cells of the brain and causes impairment of the intracellular function, as well as it causes gradually destroying the ability of reason, remember, imagine, and learn. So here's a picture that shows the difference between the healthy brain and Alzheimer brain, which appear in smaller size than the healthy brain. Another cause of Alzheimer, it's according the concentration of the cholinergic neurons that are responsible of producing an acetylcholine, which is an important neurotransmitter of communication between the neuron cells. So in the healthy brain, we can see here the concentration of this neurotransmitter is more than the Alzheimer patient. And this enzyme usually break down by an enzyme that called cholinesterase enzyme. And when we use the drugs that inhibit this enzyme that break down this neurotransmitter, we call it cholinesterase inhibitors. Like for example, donepezil, galantamine, rifostigmine, all these are cholinesterase inhibitor that treat the stages of Alzheimer disease. And here's the picture of them. We can find them in any pharmacy. So let's move to our main subject, which is the common cholinesterase inhibitors from botanicals or from plant sources like ginkgo biloba, which is the most common plant that use as a complementary therapy in case of Alzheimer, as well as there is club moss, which is have an extract that called hybrazine, which act as cholinesterase inhibitor as well, and there is ginseng and Salvia officinalis. So let's see the active ingredients of ginkgo biloba, which is actually have two primary active ingredients, terpene lactones and ginkgo flavones. Terpene lactones include glycolides and diterpenes, and ginkgo flavone have gingotin and bilobetine and cystobetene. And here's some flavonoids as well, like quercetin, camphorol, and but the main two is terpene lactones and ginkgo flavone. However, the side effect of these cholinesterase inhibitor that it overstimulates the parasympathetic system by increasing the acetylcholine, which is the main neurotransmitter of the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is result of hypermotility in the GIT, diarrhea, meiosis, which is as the size of the pupil becomes smaller, bradycardia, so we can't give it to a patient who have pre-existing bradycardia, as well as hypotension. So there's some cautions according using of these drugs, so we can give it to a patient who experience allergy for cholinesterase inhibitors, or a patient who have severe liver disease, or who had bradycardia, peptic ulcers, alcoholism, asthma, or chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases like bronchitis or rhinitis.